Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the crime scene photography, the main portion or the main topic for your forensic science. Just WhatsApp me your syllabus also. Okay, not today, but later on. Okay. So today topic we are taking as a crime scene photography. In this, three main topics are there. Like when you go to the crime scene, so how you are going to record the crime scene. Okay. So in that case, we'll have to see like how you take the photograph and what are the precautions that you should follow in order to get your best photograph. Okay. So in that case, there are some rules. So you follow the rules, you go to the crime scene, take the best photographs and come back to your station then. So in that case, the first is, we'll just read some theory portion. The common crime scene is investigation photography is an important part of the documentation of the crime scene. Photography are typically taken based on the perspective of the camera to the target. So photography, as you all know, like when you do the documentation of the crime scene, so you might have studied about the crime scene investigation in your previous chapters. In that, there is one portion like photography, documentation of crime scene. While you do the crime scene investigation, in that place only, there is an option to go ahead with your like a different process of your investigation. In that case, you have sketching is there, barricading is there, photography is there, videography is there. So a different process for the investigation. One of the process in that is your photography. So how do you go ahead with the photography, or on different types of crime scenes? There will be not only one type of crime scene. There are possibility that there may be different types of crime scenes. So on different types of crime scenes, what are the different types of photographic method that you should follow? And that we will just discuss in the coming time. So in this, we'll just learn about the overall crime scene photography, mid-range and evidence establishing photography, close-up photography and aerial photography. Then in the last, we'll go for the crime scene videography also. So as you see this second topic, mid-range photography and evidence establishing photography. So these two terms, they can like come together also, or in case like there can be an option like you use only mid-range photography or evidence establishing photography. So once you get this term about evidence establishing photography, so you should be familiar like what we are talking about. We are talking about the mid-range photography. So suppose the first step is your overall crime scene photography. So in that case, what do you do? Like how do you take the photograph? So what it says is when you go to the crime scene, when you have not even entered the crime scene, so your primary duty should be like to take the photograph of the overall region. Okay. Suppose this is your some house or some building is there. So inside this building, the crime scene is located. So what you do is, in order to establish the location of the crime scene, where the crime scene is located. So what we do is, we take the help of the, we follow the step of overall photography. In that case, the whole of the crime scene will be recorded along with some stationary objects. Like here in case of here, like trees are there. So trees will be stationary. They are not going to move from their place. So along with your crime scene, for the overall crime scene photography, along with your crime scene, there should be a stationary object we should take into consideration for photographing. So the thing is like, what if the trees are not there? So in order to establish the solid reference, you can take some other reference of some government buildings maybe there, or some electric pole is there, or some post box is there. So any, like, try to focus or try to capture your crime scene in such a manner that one stationary object is also recorded for your reference. Okay. So later on, if the crime scene is disturbed or it is moved, so we can be able to establish where the location of the crime scene was actually. Okay. So in this, we'll just read different important points. Take overall photographs of the area surrounding the scene from its perimeter, from multiple locations and angles, include exteriors of buildings, car, both sides of entries and exits. So what it is saying is, it is not necessarily like you will have to follow one particular path and take the photography. You can go around its go around of your crime scene from left side and from right side, and then you can record your crime scene from different angles also. Okay. So since we have a digital photography advantage, so we can take like n number of photographs, and later on, like even if some photographs are not relevant to us, we can delete that photograph. But the thing is, we should take a sufficient number of photographs, because once you go to the crime scene, there may be a possibility that you don't get the second option to revisit your crime scene. So it is always advisable to take sufficient number of photographs. Okay. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the second point, what it says is, overall photos may be encompass smaller sub scenes that exist within the larger scene. So like what it is saying is, along with your overall crime scene, so we can come to your, suppose this is a row of houses, like this is one house, then you have second house, then you have third house. So in that manner, if you are taking a photograph which is like a row of houses are there, or many buildings are there, so what you do is like, or suppose there is a murder in some apartment, so what you do is you take the photograph of the full apartment. Okay. But the thing is, in apartment, you will be having like different, around 10 flats will be there, or some 20 flats will be there. So in order to establish like in the whole apartment, which particular flat or which particular resident area is the actual crime scene. And so you move one step closer to the crime scene, and you take the sub smaller like area for photography. After the scene is photographed as found, additional photographs with play cards used as evidence identifiers must be recorded, only visible in overall photographs when they are used, such as when mid-range and close-ups will be taken to the taken off the scene. They must be placed in the close proximity of the subject of the photograph. We'll come to that. It is critical to use a systematic approach to note taking while taking the photographs, to maintain a record of your activities and the order and location of pictures as they are taken. So what you do is, there is one format of photography, like whatever photographs you are taking, each photograph will have some numbers. Okay. in your camera. So there is a separate hard copy or a paper along with your note making. That is what you call as your photographic log or photo log or photograph log. So what you do with that thing is the each number of photographs that you are taking. So we just make a note of that. Like suppose your photo number is 033. So for that particular photograph of 033, so in that photo, what you have recorded, what was the object that you are going to record or what you have recorded, and what is the condition uh, from how far distance you have recorded, and what is the weather condition, if there is any very particular weather condition. So you need to mention all those things into that photograph log. Who has taken that photograph? So in that photograph, it is just like your standard format. You follow the format. Uh, so you just list down all the number of photographs that you have taken on the crime scene, along with your what is the weather condition, who has taken the photographs in that photograph, what was the object that you have been trying to record. So those things you can note down in your photograph log. And one more thing is like play cards are there, or you say evidence cones are there, or you say like evidence cones or play cards. They are actually made of some plastic material or at times of paper material. So on that play cards or on those crime scene evidence cones, the numbers will be written. I think when you came to the forensic lab, so I think you have seen those cones, okay, on which the numbers have been written. Okay, so yes,
Yes.
you remember that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes.
so that is what you call as your evidence cones. They can be of different colors. Different colors will help you to help you to identify a contrast color. Suppose some green lawn is there or green field is there. So in that case, if you put a green cone or a green color of evidence cone, so that will just hide into that green field. So to avoid such a condition, you can take a contrast color of the cone. So that is what you call as your evidence cone. And at times, that same thing has been supplied by some other plastic material also, or at times with some paper material also. And the advantage for those paper material is like when there is a chances of contamination. Okay, so any crime scene where the serological materials are there, so chances definitely they are going to increase for the cross contamination. So in order to avoid such a situation, whatever the play cards we are placing on the crime scene, so those things like if the play cards are placed, so either it should be thoroughly cleaned properly, or if we have paper cards, so those are disposable. Once used, we can just throw out. So that is about your plastic play card, or you say evidence cones. That is, they help us on the crime scene to identify the evidence. So specify the change you made as seen while taking photographs, such as when a light was turned on or objects were moved. Note taking should occur throughout the photography session. Finish note taking at the scene, include the time of the photographing began and was completed in the notes. So while you are drafting your note or while you are taking the notes into your catalog, photograph catalog, so you should make notes of all these things. So what time you reached on the crime scene, when you started the photography, when you are going to end the photograph. So those things, they come into the photograph log. Okay. So you understood like what is the concept of overall photograph?
Yes, sir.
Can any one of you tell me like what is being recorded in the overall photograph? Can anybody tell me? Apart from Yasir, I think everybody is sleeping. What is that recorded? I will repeat my question. What is that recorded in the overall crime scene photograph? In the overall photograph, what is that you are going to record?
Evidences.
Evidences can be recorded, but the motive is different. Our motive why
Yeah.
we are recording the overall crime scene photograph, that is different. So in the overall photograph, what is that you are going to record? What is why you are going to record the overall crime scene photograph? To establish the location. The answer is to establish the
Yeah.
location.
Yes, sir.
Where is your crime scene? Where is your primary crime scene located? That is our motive. That is our focus. Like, where is the location of the crime scene? So, in the overall crime
Yeah.
scene photograph, if we take a photograph in such a manner that the crime scene is completely captured in that photograph, that is our motive. Okay.
Yes.
So in the overall photograph, the location of your
Okay.
crime scene should be
Yes.
recorded.
Good.
So coming to the mid-range photograph. So as you can see, like in this figure, these two photographers, they have mute your audio. In the photograph, you can see like these two people have entered into the crime scene. Okay, and they are like still outside only. They haven't come fully inside. Okay, so what is actually a mid-range photography? We are going to take the mid-range photographs before and after placing play cards or rulers. It is important to take photographs that establish the relationship of the object or reference point in the scene. Take close-up photo. So, what the first paragraph is saying is, once you have completed your overall photograph, that means you have established the location of the crime scene. After that, you go close to the crime scene where the actual crime scene is located. So once you reach to that place, different types of objects will be there. So you need to identify what is those evidence or what is that objects which are of your prime concern. What can be the different types of evidences? So in that, what you do is you try to take the photographs by two methods. One is without placing the card. So this is your play card. When you say play card, so this is your play card or your evidence cone. This is your orange color evidence cone. And this is like your cones, small cones, play cards are there. So one thing is you should take the photographs without the placing of cones. After that, once you have taken the photographs without cones, again you need to place the cones. After that, again, you will have to do the rephotography. That means 2 photographs you should take when you come to the mid-range photography. So in the mid-range photography, first photograph that you are going to take is inside the crime scene without play card or without evidence cones. And from the same range, that is your mid-range, you'll have to place the play card, and again you'll have to take the photography. Okay. So take close-up photographs immediately after taking the mid-range photograph when appropriate. It may be appropriate to follow mid-range photographs of the scene with the close-up pictures of the same scene when showing a scene before, during, and after play card, ruler placement, near view of human injuries or vehicle accident damage. So once you have finished your mid-range photographs, you come to your next, that is your close-up photography. But because just before that, coming to the close-up photography, we'll just see different other theory portions. Like while taking the photographs of a scene, record related information in notes. So while you are taking the photographs, where did you locate your evidences? So the photograph, the evidence that you are taking the photograph, where is it located? And what is the if there are more than 3-4 kind of evidences, so how they are placed, that is one topic, and how far they are from each other and in which direction. So those things are important. That should be noted into your personal diary. So suppose this is your evidence number 4. So evidence number 4, how far it is from evidence number 2 or evidence number 1, and in which direction. Suppose this is into your east direction. So in the east direction, suppose this is the distance from evidence cone 1, the distance of evidence 4 is approximately like 3 or 4 foot. So the distance, how far it is, and in which direction it is. So this is about your northeast direction. So you can just note down about this evidence, in which direction it is, and how much is the distance between the other evidences. So that is like the primary objective also of your mid-range photography. So in the mid-range photography, 2 things very important. First thing is you take the photograph without the play cards, and again by placing the play card. And second thing is you establish the distance or establish the identity of the evidence that is on the crime scene. Okay. So in the very beginning slide, in the first slide itself, I told you like the sorry, the second name for this mid-range photography is evidence establishing photography. So in the mid-range, what it is doing is it is establishing the evidence. So where is this evidence located? Where is this evidence located on the crime scene? So you establish the location of that evidence. So for that, your mid-range, one more term is there. Either you call it a mid-range or you call it as a evidence establishing photography. Take photograph of transit evidence from a position that shows the spatter relative to other objects in the area perpendicular to the spatter. Take pictures of the scene before and after placing the play cards and rulers, and after removing the play cards and rulers. So these things I already told you in the previous slide. Like always take the photograph, one photograph without play cards and rulers, another photograph while placing the play card and ruler. So 2 important things that is there in the mid-range photography. Can anybody tell me, like, what are the 2 important points that we should consider or that we learn in the mid-range photography. Two
Sir,
important points. Yeah, tell me.
before and after taking placing the postcard, we must take the photography.
Mhm. That is one thing. Second thing, second thing, what is this? So one thing you are saying is
No,
we'll just come to know in which place, by placing the play card and without placing the play card. That is one option. That is one photography you will have to complete. Then again in the mid-range photography only.
Distance.
Yes,
Distance, yes.
exactly. The suppose on the crime scene, these three evidences are there. So in these three evidences, how they are interrelated? What is the position of these three evidences that we need to record, that we need to take into consideration? So two motives,
Position and direction.
yeah. Distance, direction. So those things should be noted in the mid-range photography. Okay. So
Okay.
the third type of your photography, that is your close-up photography. So in that photography, like close-up photography, what is important is, as the name says, that close-up photography. So in that, what is the actual motive of taking the close-up photography is to record the fine details that are present into the photograph. Okay. So as you can see with the example of the photograph, so once you have finished your overall crime scene photography, where you recorded your the full crime scene photograph, we came to the mid-range photography, where we have taken the photographs from the mid-range, and then the third step is about your close-up photography. So in this close-up photography, what is our motive is to record the fine details or the individual marks that is present on the evidence. Okay. So photograph or fingerprint, footprint, shoe print, tire print evidences, these kind of evidences, sorry, black and white film when using. Okay, so this is important thing, like um, when you do the photography, so what crime scene or what situation should be followed with the black and white photography, and what is the crime scene that should be recorded on the color film? That is also important. Okay, so whenever like we are taking the photograph, or whenever we are taking the record of contrast color, okay, so or in other words, like whenever we are taking the photograph of impression evidences, so in your impression evidences, tool marks may be there, foot marks, fingerprint, shoe print, tire prints. So whenever these types of photographs we have to take, so generally what we do is we take the help of the black and white photography. So what it will do is it will help you to identify or record a very proper fine details. Suppose this is one example of your normal, like the base of your cartridge. We can see this firing pin mark is there on the base of the cartridge, stamping is there, company name is there, bore is there. So those informations we can get with the help of your close-up photography. So if you look at this close-up photography of this show impression, okay. So in your close-up photography also, we'll have to follow the rule of the photography, that is filling the frame with your evidence, okay. And here also in the close-up photography also, one photograph you should take with the help of the ruler along with the compass, and another photograph without placing the ruler and without the compass. So compass will help you to make the standard size. We can compare, we can take the reference of the ruler for the size of the evidence. And why we place the compass also in addition to your ruler is because the compass will tell you in which direction the evidence was placed. Okay. So like what I said is, why do we use a black and white film is, the advantage is like if we give some additional source of light, from oblique angle. Okay. So suppose you are recording parallelly from this plane, exactly 90-degree angle you are recording. Okay. And in that case, suppose you will have to capture the fine details, small patterns, small ridges. In this impression, suppose you need to record what is the wear and tear mark of the shoe impression. Okay. So in that case, you will have to go close to it and supply with additional source of light. Additional source of light, and not to like along its axis, like not in plane with this evidence, but in oblique direction. So maybe your direction should be like some 45 or some 50 degree of your angle. So when you are giving your extra source of light, which is oblique in nature, so what it will do is, it will create like a shadow. The ridges will have their shadows. So when you take the photograph of such evidences, the ridge details may be very much clear. So that is how, like for your impression evidences, we use black and white photograph, and at times we can use your external source of light in order to have the best contrast for your evidence or your photograph. So here, when the photograph needs to be accurately scaled, the ruler must be on the same plane as the impression. Camera lens must be perpendicular, exactly 90 degrees to the subject. So these are the few points that you should take into consideration while taking the close-up photograph. Use a level and tripod to position the camera accurately. Take multiple shots with the light or flash at different angles, such as 0 degree, 15 degree, 45 degree, etc., to achieve the best possible photograph. Best possible photograph means with the best quality of the contrast photograph. So different, like same source of light, white light, but at different angles. So we just go on taking the photograph, and whatever is the best photograph achieved, we'll take that as a evidence photograph. And this is your example of aerial photography. So it is helpful in that case, or in those situations when the possibility of reaching the crime scene is a little difficult and the area covered of the crime scene is large. Okay, so suppose one full area, if you see this one full area, it is fire. it is on fire. So if that is the situation, then if you go to the crime scene, you go on photographing different things. So that will be more difficult. Okay. So what happens is we take the help of the aerial photograph. So aerial photograph will help you to identify the exact location, what is the actual location of the crime scene, one thing. And the second thing is like it will help you to identify how far or till what extent the crime scene has been spread. Third thing is, if there is a like suppose fire pattern crime scene, so in that case we can identify the fire pattern also of the crime scene. Okay, I will just hold on for here and I will just come back in some 1 minute because the time is running out. We will just reconnect, okay, after some time.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.